lease or value of real property if the chair declares that an open meeting may have a detrimental effect on the negotiating position of the public body and the chair so declares. Is there a second?
Second.
This will be a roll call vote. Glenn?
Aye.
Brian?
Aye.
Renee?
Aye.
And an aye for myself. We are now in executive session. right, so we are back in open session, but we're just going to wait for everyone to return.
There's only 3 of them.
Do you want microphones down there? No? They can just come up to the podium. It's fine. Okay, I believe we are all back now. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. In accordance with the requirements of the open meeting law, please be advised that this meeting is being recorded and broadcast live over the Lunenburg Public Access channel, on Facebook Live on the Public Access Facebook page, and will be uploaded to the Lunenburg Access YouTube channel after the meeting. The agenda lists all the topics which may be discussed at the meeting and are those reasonably anticipated by the chair. Votes may be taken as a result of these discussions. Not all items listed may in fact be discussed, and other items not listed may also be brought up for discussion to the extent permitted by the open meeting law. We are going to start tonight with announcements. Whalum Park, 25 years since the last ride, will be held on September 13th from 12 to 2 p.m. at the Historical Society. It's been 25 years since Whalum Park closed, but the memories still live on. Join us for a nostalgic celebration of one of New England's most beloved amusement parks. Event highlights, so the Historic Memorial Park memorabilia will be on display. There will be a memory wall to share your favorite park photos, which you can email to Kara McCarthy to bring them to the event. $5 limited edition Whalum Park Lunenburg police patches will be available. Images of America, Whalum Park books available and signed by the authors. And $5 photo with Whalum the Clown, if you are so inclined. And there's also going to be popcorn to snack out. And I'm just going to pull up one more just to verify. But the pancake breakfast is going to be next Wednesday. And I believe it is at 8 a.m. to 10 a.m. And they occur every second Wednesday at the Lunenburg Adult Activity Center. So I think I got that right, so I don't have to pull up the email. All right, any other announcements that I missed? All right, moving on. Up first, we have recognition of FY 2025 Special Merit Awardees. So this is the first year that we are doing this. We created these merit awards at special town meeting last year. So these are the first awardees. And I'm going to pass it over to the town manager.
Thank you. So if we could have the awardees in the room come forward and have a seat while we're talking about you.
Don't be shy.
So while they're coming forward, our first awardee is not able to be present this evening, but that first awardee is Kennedy Jackson, the Administrative Assistant to the Lunenburg Police Department for the Communications Award. So the Communications Award is granted to somebody who displays a commitment to assisting the public in transparency in government, including but not limited to improving and/or devising new ways to communicate information within the organization and to the public at large. And I want to read just a little bit about why Kennedy was nominated. So Kennedy is a professional and committed employee helping the public and staff resolve any issues that may arise in her daily duties at the police department. She's a highly dedicated staff member that is constantly working for the good of the department and the community. As a liaison for the department to the community, whether it's answering phone calls or emails, she is a constant professional that goes the extra mile for the issue. She takes pride in her work to make sure that it is done correctly. She is constantly volunteering for community activities like at the Boys and Girls Club, the LBA Business Fair, and many others. Her commitment goes above and beyond her 40-hour work week. So Kennedy is not able to join us this evening, but congratulations to Kennedy for the Communications Award. The next category is the category of efficiency, and there were two folks who received awards in this category. So the efficiency is for somebody or somebodies that display a commitment to ensuring we operate proficiently and efficiently by stepping up and stepping in to undertake nominal cross-training in mission-critical functions, exhibits a willingness to float as needed, and/or suggest ideas that result in the ease of processing and savings of time, materials, storage requirements, and the like. So Maribeth Balboni is one of our efficiency winners for these years. So Maribeth is our cataloging and collection services librarian, but she does so much more than just add items to our collection and maintain what we circulate. I know I can count on her to come in and to work to cover a coworker's unexpected absence on short notice, stay late to assist on the front desk, take on additional special projects with determination, and do it all with a positive attitude and eye for efficiency. There have been several instances where we have had a concern with the collection, be it lack of space or low visibility leading to low engagement, and she readily has an informed solution to try. Her and I talk through ways to improve workflows, collection management, and more quite frequently, and her feedback is one that I value when considering improvements at the library.
Thank you.
And then our second awardee is Eric Foster, who you know from PAC. So Eric Foster has been instrumental in helping PAC to achieve its goals. As production technician, he takes care of the day-to-day equipment and production needs. He goes above and beyond in making sure that videographers are well-trained and prepared to record. He has especially shown outstanding commitment and expertise to major events such as town meeting. His efficiency in preparation and follow-through has helped us reach the point of excellence in the services we provide to the town. Eric finds the best ways to get things done. He researches technical options and makes thoughtful recommendations to help PAC function better. He doesn't settle for the easy way out, but gets a solution that makes the best sense. Productions of shows and events become seamless
Too much of a pause there.
I know. It becomes seamless when he orchestrates it. And when the new process is involved, he efficiently plans and trains videographers to get the best results possible. His efficiency has led us to an improvement in creativity and productivity. And final category is for the Pinnacle of Excellence. So the Pinnacle of Excellence is granted to somebody who displays a willingness to make extraordinary efforts in the ongoing improvement of the organization, assisting other staff members or departments to complete new or ongoing assignments, and often requires the person to stretch to learn new computer programs, methodologies, or processes. And the Pinnacle of Excellence awardee was Brian Gingras, our building commissioner. Brian is very knowledgeable in his position, as well as many other areas of land use and town government as a whole. His easygoing manner makes him approachable by his peers and as well as members of the public. Brian's willingness to help residents of Lunenburg, as well as tradesmen, contractors, and fellow employees, make him a valuable asset. His computer experience with OpenGov and other platforms are unparalleled. He displays excellent communication skills and delivers in layman's terms with the residents and the public. His willingness to go the extra mile with new hires makes for an easy transition in town government. In over 40-plus years working for the town of Lunenburg, Brian is by far the most well-informed, proficient, and skilled building commissioner that I have ever had the pleasure of working with. From his life. So, congratulations to this year's awardees, the inaugural class. It was such a pleasure to read all of the nominations, and thank you to all of the folks from the community. There was quite a lot of both staff and non-staff members that submitted nominations, and so it was my honor, though, to select these folks for this inaugural year.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, if you guys want to say anything, you can. Just turn on the microphone, just hit the button.
I wasn't really prepared for a speech. I think the only reason I'm sitting here is actually the staff that work for me and with me, honestly, not just the one that nominated me, but those that have left and the ones that we currently have. So, thank you.
The only thing I'd like to say is that I have a neighbor, Hattie Boucher, who has a form of inoperable cancer, and you can find information about her on Hope for Hattie if you search that on Facebook. She's a Lunenburg resident, very young girl, and she deserves our support. So.
Thank you very much for bringing that up. And I want to thank you all for all the work that you do on behalf of the community. And I want to thank you guys for going above and beyond and congratulate you guys on winning these awards. It was very well deserved. So congratulations.
Thank you.
And we have the plaques if we want to bring them out. I know you guys have seen them already, but we do have to show them off here.
Little photo op.
Yep. So, well, I do want to, let's show the plaques.
Okay.
So the public can get all the recognition here.
All right, so here's a good camera.
Get it right here.
Right here, all right.
Face up.
So Brian, gonna hold one, and then you guys wanna hold this one?
Jen, where are you going to hang these?
They're going in this room.
In the back.
I'm,
Right in the back.
that's all.
Can we get the camera to?
John, put camera 3 on it. Yep, there you go.
Awesome. All right, well, congratulations again. All right, we're going to take a brief recess. We're going to get some pictures with these, and then we will continue on. So we'll be right back.
Okay. Lisa Norman did her final days of duty. Take a photo for us.
All right, up next, we have a presentation by the DPW Director, Will Bernard, on trash bag fees.
All right. Hi, so I'm Bill Bernard, the DPW Director, so I'm here to talk about proposed rate increase on our pay-as-you-throw bags. So why is an increase necessary? In fiscal years 24 and 25, the cost of trash removal exceeded the income we made from the pay-as-you-throw bags. Spending on the trash removal is increasing faster than the income generated from the bags. So I don't know if you can see my slides. I put
Yeah.
the trend lines in. You can see the trend line of the spending is a little bit steeper than the income. So the next slide. So I've estimated the cost of trash removal with our contract with GW Shaw. And it's around $460,000 for FY26 and $467,000 for FY27. And the income from the bags has been, you'll see on the next slide, a little less than that. One thing to note is our contract with Shaw is a 3-year contract, ends in 27. We do have the option to extend, but we might go out to bid. If we do, the costs from there forward are pretty much unknown. Put this slide in for the cases of bags that we've sold. You can see in the graphs, the trend lines, it's pretty flat. It kind of bounces up and down a little bit, but it's pretty steady how many bags we're selling per year, or how many cases we're buying per year. It doesn't exactly translate the number of bags sold, but it's a good indicator that we're not selling more bags, so we're not going to get more income from bags. And you could see the cost of the cases has increased over the years a little bit each year. That only factors a little bit into our cost, but it's worth noting.
Bill, can I ask a question on this
You
slide
may.
before you?
You may.
So I'm looking at slide 4, the cases sold.
Yeah,
Very few extra large. It's
Yeah.
mostly large and small.
right.
Can we save money by not offering extra? Is that an option? How would folks feel about that?
I don't know how we would save money.
Well, do we pay to have these made? I don't know
Yeah.
what, right?
Yeah, but
And then we get reimbursed when residents buy them? Is that how it works?
Essentially, yeah.
Correct,
Yep.
yep. Yeah, we're not ordering tons of those bags, right?
Okay.
We're only ordering, about 17 cases per year, as opposed to the small bags is, 500.
Yeah, the other
plus
two
cases a
sizes
year.
are over, 400 to 500.
All right, so in the next slide, I've proposed a 2% increase, a 5% increase, or close to 5% increase with the numbers kind of rounded, so the sale of the rolls of bags is kind of an even number. And then I also looked at a 10% increase. So I did the 2% because that kind of covers, it would have covered FY '24 and '25, but we'll see going forward, I don't think it's going to cover the cost going forward.
When was the last time the cost went up?
I have that in a future slide, but it was FY '24.
Okay.
I'll go to the number of, the next slide. So number of bags per year per household. So I used 2 methods to calculate that. One, I looked at the sale of cases, multiply out the cases by the number of bags in each case, blah, 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 right? Divide by the number of households, and it comes out to 49.6 per year, or roughly 1 bag per household per week, which I thought was a little surprising. So I looked at another method to calculate, and that was by weight. So on average, the average household is about 750 pounds per year. You do the math there, and it comes out to 14.4 pounds per week. One of the small bags can hold up to 15 pounds. So again, it's one bag per week. I don't think most people are shoving 15 pounds into a bag, so that I said, let's use 2 bags per week per household as an average. So the average household is buying about 104 bags per year. And the next slide, the estimated yearly cost per household. So a lot of spreadsheet here, right? But the bottom line is down there in the yellow. A 2% increase based on the number of bags I calculated 104. It's only would be $5.04 more than what people are paying now. The 5% increase would be $12.60 more. The rounded 5% is $13.57 more, and a 10% increase would be $25.20 more. I know there's a lot of spreadsheet there. I don't know if anybody has questions on it.
I'm just sitting here thinking, I'm wondering how many residents don't buy the bags and have their own arrangement? Because I see quite a few E.L. Harvey bins out on the street. I've seen mention of people even just getting a dumpster.
Yeah, so it's hard to tell. We don't have a solid number on that. I suppose we can ask Shaw to go out with a clicker someday and,
How many stops?
for a week and, click how many households.
Because didn't they
Get a better
combine some
number.
routes recently?
They did,
Because
yeah.
they,
Yeah.
I don't think it was
it was
because,
because of
streets
weight,
around a little bit.
volume.
Yeah, it had to do with volume and the time it took.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's part of that time is how often do they stop to pick up? So I
Right.
bet it is part of the reason.
All right, I guess one thing to note is the change of the cost of the bags, a 2% increase. We'll just look at small bags because that's what most people buy. The 2% increase would only increase the cost of a bag by 3 cents. A 5% would only be 8 cents, and the rounded 5% would be 9 cents, and a 10% increase would be 16 cents. So not big increases. The next slide is the history of increases. So again, let's look at the small bags. That's what most people are buying. In 2018, the bags were $1.25 each. It increased in 2020 up to $1.40, which was a 12% increase. Then it increased again in 2024 up to $1.61, which was a 15% increase. So again, I'm only proposing a 2, 5, and 10% increase.
But it's only a year since the last increase. Is that right?
No, fiscal.
Right.
Fiscal year.
Yes.
Fiscal. So
Okay, so 2 years.
Yep. All right, so my recommendation is to go with the rounded, close to the 5% increase. It will cover the cost in FY '26 and '27. It'll only cost the average household $13.57 per year, and it makes the cost of the bundles more normal. So the small bag would be $16.91 at 5%, but rounded, I made it $17. The 2% increase, not likely to cover future costs. I don't believe it will. And the 10% increase, it'll cover costs, maybe 3 years or more, maybe. However, it's going to cost people more money. And since it's a enterprise fund and we want to keep the spending and income pretty close, a 10% will not really be in the spirit of that. So again, I recommend the 5% increase, the rounded 5% increase. Any,
all right, thank you. Brian or Glenn, do you have any questions? Nope.
No questions. I
Renee,
appreciate the presentation.
Do you have any other questions,
Cost,
Renee?
yeah, the cost to the town for ordering the bags, has that been pretty flat, or do you expect that's
That's
going to go up?
one of the slides, has the bags, the cases,
The
right?
cost
So,
to the town, not to the person buying?
yeah. So
Which
for
is
the
the same.
town, the small bags in &21 was $42.75,
Which slide do I look?
right?
Cases sold and cost of
Cases.
cases, it's early.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then it's climbed a little bit, so now in FY '26, it's $51.07 for the case of the small bags. So it's gone up, from '21 to '26, it's gone up $8.32, or a 19.5% increase. But that's a small part of, the income we're trying to generate, right? So most of the income, most of the cost is in the trash removal. The bag's just a small part of that.
All right, thank you, Bill. I don't have any questions. Was there something that you wanted to say?
The only thing that I was thinking of is, isn't there just, since we're talking about this tonight, there's going to be a change to the bag distribution, right, with the wrap? People are going to just, well, he's here.
Yeah, the bundles are going to have a different wrap around them. It's just
Okay.
But just so
slightly looks different,
residents are aware,
Okay.
it's got a new look.
right?
Sure.
It has nothing to do with this discussion tonight.
Gotcha.
One other thing I should mention is the small bags, they're in production, so we got a phone call today, one of the distributors ran out of them. So there might be a small delay on getting the small bags.
Okay, gotcha. So I recognize that, people aren't going to want to pay more for the trash bags, and I get it, they are kind of pricey already. But the whole point of a pay-as-you-throw program is that the program pays for itself. So the residents who participate in it need to pay for it. And I think $13.50 a year, I think, is pretty fair. The program shouldn't be partially subsidized by all taxpayers in town, especially when not everyone in town participates. And conversely, too, we also shouldn't be taking in more than we need to, because then it's kind of like a secret tax, right? So I think we need to find that balance, and I think 5%, as you suggested, seems pretty fair, and I think the increase isn't as much as we seem to have done in previous years either. So I think it's a very fair request. What do other members think?
I would agree. I think it's still a bargain compared to citizens who have to pay for their own dumpster, pay for their own service. It's still a great deal. I would support the rounded 5%.
Yeah, it was actually a great point. I was thinking that earlier today and I didn't say it, and I still think it's definitely cheaper than having to figure out what to do if, we can't afford this program, because it has gone up so much in cost over the past couple of years. So, it's kind of necessary to make sure that we break even. So,
Right?
Glenn?
I agree with previous comments.
Renee?
Yeah, there's a definite trend here of it becoming more expensive of us, the Delta changing. I'm looking after this contract that we'll have
Yeah.
to address at some point down the road.
I would be surprised if this next contract, we're looking at something, I know we were very lucky this time
Yes.
with
Yeah.
the carts, but I would imagine
Yes.
that comes close.
I've heard the pay-as-you-throw is going,
Well, they're still doing pay-as-you-throw, but pay-as-you-throw is going in the cart.
Right.
So you,
yeah,
Yeah, that's the trend.
yeah.
yeah.
All right, so is there any other discussion on this? Seems like we're all pretty much in agreement here.
Did you have a suggested start date for the fees to increase?
I did not, but
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's,
yeah, maybe the beginning of October.
October 1st?
Yeah, give us some, let's look at the calendar, give us some time to advertise and get it
Right.
out there.
okay.
Yeah.
So October 1st, we should include that in the motion. So let's see, how do we want to word this as a motion? I move to approve the fee changes as included in the rounded close to a 5% column. Does that work in a motion? To go into effect on October 1st, 2025.
Second.
Any additional discussion? Those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed, no. The motion passes unanimously. All right. Thank you very much, Bill.
Hey, you're welcome.
Thank you, Bill.
Have a good night.
You too.
Good night.
Okay, public comment. Is there any public comment from the board? Any public comment from the public? Come on up.
Good evening. Laura Barusian, 3D9 Mulpus Road. I'm here as the president of the Lunenburg Musicators, and I'm just reporting back on our Fill the Boot Toll Booth event that we had on August 9th. I just wanted to let you know that we raised $1,500 in 3 hours. It was a beautiful day. We had an incredible turnout. We want to thank all the Lunenburg residents and others that came by. People were literally like pulling change out of their car, and it was incredible. We saw former select board members. We saw some school committee members. We had so many who shared their stories, who said how important the music program was to their son, their daughter, their grandchild, everything, and just how it built their confidence. So that was really great. We had one incredible donor who came by who plays the saxophone and gave us $200.
Wow.
Like, he knew we were there. The advertising, we put the ad in the paper. It worked out great because people knew and were coming by early. We thank all of you for granting our petition and for your concerns for our safety as well. So thank you for that. We kept everybody on the sidewalk with a very small handful of like having to go into the street, but everybody just put their passenger window down, and it worked out just really fantastic. And the kids were really amazed. They're like, oh my God, they gave us $5, you know? It's just like, yeah, it's $5. So we will be back in the spring with another petition, because we had a goal of $3,000, so to fill the supply budget that was cut during the budget process. So we've got about half of it. Go Snack Shack. So at the football games, everybody come out to the football games. I have been in contact with Mr. Ballister at Turkey Hill, and he would need $500 for some supplies this year, so we'd like to work. I'll call you, the town manager, and give you a call, and just how do we get this now out of our pocket and into the town? So we'd like to get $500 to them and put the $1,000 back into the high school, the middle high school music program as well, into their supply budget. So if that's all right. So
Yeah, shoot me an email.
I will. So, and just, yeah, thank you all. We really appreciate it. And thank you again. The town was amazing. Everybody was great that came by. So
Awesome. Glad it went well. Thank you for reporting back.
All right.
And I look forward to seeing you back in the spring, it sounds like?
Yes.
Yep. All right.
All right.
Awesome.
Thank you all. Have a good night.
Have a good night.
Good night.
All right. Up next, we have appointments, ratifications, and resignations. And we are going to acknowledge the resignations of Ezekiel Ayala, the Finance Director / Town Accountant, effective October 25th, 2025. Do you want me to read them all first?
Sure.
And then acknowledge the resignation of Angela Clement, Recreation Director, effective September 5th, 2025. And then the retirement of Lisa Normandin, the Administrative Assistant for the ZBA.
And building.
Yep. Effective October 30th, 2025. And the retirement of Debbie LaFond, Librarian, effective October 11th, 2025.
Well, Mr. Chairman, that was not a pleasant list to read in any way of retirements and resignations. So I'm sure that people probably reacted when they saw this posted on the agenda. So I just want to go through a couple of them. So Miss Debbie is retiring after a long career, and I know people are going to be heartbroken to see her go. Similarly, Lisa Normandin, who you heard earlier tonight, has been here for over 40 years. She has been a tremendous asset to everybody that served in that building and will be impossible to replace. Similarly, Angela Clement has served the town well as part-time recreation director, but ultimately she needed to get a position that was full-time, and so she is going to work in a similar space, but in a full-time capacity. So we wish Angela well, but she will be a huge loss. And then Ezekiel Ayala, the finance director, town accountant, has been with the town for a little over 2 years. And I am proud to announce that he is about to become the executive director of a nonprofit organization in the city of Worcester. But that means that he will no longer be working for the town of Lunenburg. So that will be a substantial adjustment for the community. But wish him well, certainly, and we'll take advantage of him between now and October 25th to the fullest. But that was a rough list all around, and all of these individuals are going to be extremely difficult to replace and irreplaceable, frankly.
Yeah, that's for sure. So I want to congratulate Lisa and Debbie on their retirements, and I'll also thank everything that Ezekiel and Angela have done for the town. Ezekiel, as we all know, has done so much, and the vendor fair that was organized was just incredible. So Angela, thank you as well for all that you've done for the town. All right, moving on to the town manager report.
Okay, so first up, the special town meeting will be held on November 18th, 2025 at 7 p.m. Thank you to an astute resident who noticed a misprint in the ledger. The ledger's going to go ahead and run a correction this Friday, but town meeting is indeed November 18th, not the 12th, and the warrant is open for submission of articles through October 2nd, 2025 at 5 p.m. If folks have any articles to submit, they submit them either via email to the office or come in physically before that deadline. As everybody is aware, I think everybody is aware, but on August 26th, there was a fire at the Lunenburg Middle High School that just happened to be also the very first day of school. The fire occurred within the solar panels on the roof, and thankfully everybody was evacuated safely, and there were no reported injuries, and the fire was brought under control within about 15 minutes. I do want to thank all of those first responders, both within this community who were dealing with this very serious matter at the time, and those that came in to help assist. It was quite the day for Lunenburg, and it could have been substantially worse, but thank you for your service as always. I had just spoken about the resignation of Ezekiel Ayala. Obviously, this is a position of significance. I am having a discussion later this week, in fact tomorrow, with a vendor who specializes in providing financial management support to municipalities across the Commonwealth. I believe he's actually done some work here in town as a consultant in the past. While the position is posted, and I hope to have it filled quickly, I do want to ensure that, because it's such a substantial position, that we have a safety net in place for the transition period. And during this transition is also the retirement and transition of the payroll and benefits director. So those are happening within days of each other. So hopefully this consultant has capacity to come on at this time and provide us some support in the interim, but I will keep you updated. Capital planning season is kicking off with the Capital Planning Committee meeting first scheduled for tomorrow, September 3rd at 7 p.m. That's a preliminary meeting where they're going to be reorganizing, looking at the financial policies. I am working on distributing the schedules and associated materials, but department heads have been told to anticipate that their submissions are due in the month of September, with reviews beginning in October. The Touch a Truck event on Friday, August 22nd was a huge success. Thank you to all of the residents, families who came out to enjoy the day and get up and close with our machinery. And thank you to all of the various entities that helped round out the success of the event, from local businesses to state agencies. We could not have done it without all involved. And I would be remiss if I did not publicly thank Dave McDonald, the unofficial event organizer, for all his, I'm going to say assistance, that's what I wrote here, but I'm also going to say persistence in bringing this great day to fruition. Without him championing this in the background, it's probably something that we wouldn't have been able to pull off with the level. Actually, it's not probably, we wouldn't have been able to pull it off. So thank you, Dave. Now, it was such a success, we have to do it every year. A reminder that the Neshoba Board of Health is conducting their community health survey for the region. That survey is on their webpage, on our webpage, on Facebook. The survey is open through September 30th, 2025. We did have our staff appreciation event on August 21st. Staff enjoyed lunch, longevity awards and merit awards were presented, and folks enjoyed yard games. And it was a great afternoon for staff to take some time to relax with one another and be recognized to the service they perform to the community. I think when you talk to people who work in this space, public service is becoming increasingly more difficult, and it's nice to just have a moment and kind of be with one another and be appreciated for what you do. The chair already had announced, again, on that Whalen Park event, which is September 13th, 2025, but I want to give a particular highlight. If you have photo memories, either digitally or in your old boxes, of yourself or your family enjoying Whalum in years gone by, please send those in. We're creating a memory wall of Lunenburg folks, or folks who are now Lunenburg folks. So if you could send those in to Kara McCarthy in my office. Her email is kmccarthy@lunenburgma.gov, but that is also on the Lunenburg Whalen Park event link. So some project updates. Starting today, All Pro, our cleaning vendor, is back in town servicing municipal buildings with evening cleanings. This is the same vendor that the town had previously for the past 3 years or so, despite, well, other than the last several months, this is who we have had for the past 3 years. So we expect a seamless transition, and we're looking forward to having All Pro back. Wallace Park Court resurfacing project is underway, and the work should be completed over the week, and the courts are planned to be reopened next week. Then there is announcements online and on Facebook, but there is a whole lot of fog sealing occurring across town from September 4th to 15th. The list of roads is Leominster Road, Arbor Street, Beale Street, Brookview Terrace, Burge Street, Canterbury Drive, Cliffview Terrace, Gilcrest, Hunting Hill, Meadow Lane, Pine Street, Rolling Acres, Skylark, Valley Road, Watt Street, and Wynwood Terrace. When the work is performed, the roadway will be closed to vehicular traffic. However, residents and school buses will be accommodated as much as possible. The roads will be closed for periods of 60 to 90 minutes to allow the fog seal to dry. Individual roads will be closed to clean and sweep to prepare them for the fog seal. Residents will be accommodated during this time frame. Then the fog seal will be sprayed on the roadway as much as possible. No vehicular traffic will be permitted until it is dry. For folks that have never heard about fog seal, but is one of the reasons why we have great roads in Lunenburg, fog seal is sprayed onto the existing pavement and penetrates up to 3/8 of an inch into the asphalt, softening the asphalt binder as it goes, and it slows cracking and reduces the loss of the aggregate material. So it dries clear, is plant-based, and is non-hazardous. So if you did not hear the roads and you're wondering if you're included, check our website, and that list is there. Okay, whole lot of recruitments at all different statuses. So we have a dietary aid and a temporary dietary aid positions posted at 9 hours per week. The meal site worker position at 36 hours per week, we have some work to do with the clerical union on that, and then that will be reposted. The payroll and benefits coordinator, interviews have occurred for this 32-hour per week position, and an offer is out. The executive assistant to the town manager and select board position, an offer is out, and I think I just got some good news in my email, but I don't want to steal my own thunder, but it looked positive. It had an exclamation point, so perhaps we'll have an appointment soon there. Equipment operator, 40 hours per week. We have conducted interviews there, but I don't believe an offer has been put out yet. Intermittent heavy equipment operator. This is various, but if folks are looking to pick up some additional work over the winters, this is helping us take care of our roadways for snowstorms, driving our equipment. If you're interested and you want to hear more, reach out to Bill or Julie in my office if that's a line of work that you're in. We have a videographer position that'll be on your next agenda, so an offer has been accepted there. The land use director position has been posted. The children's staff librarian position has been posted. The finance director position has been posted. The administrative assistant to the building department position has been posted. Library pages, interviews are ongoing, and seasonal cemetery laborer. Also, the students that we had for seasonal summer help have gone back to school, so if there are folks who are looking in some small hours to help keep the cemeteries looking good in the fall, that would be great. We have the same list of appointed and elected positions. as last time. I'm not going to reread the whole list, only to say there is one position that I think that at the next meeting of the tri-board or before that, there might be, that we're putting on the appointment to the Montechusett Regional Vocational Technical School. There's one vacancy there. It's an appointment of the Select Board School Committee and Moderator. So we do have an application for that, but I wanted to again reiterate, we hadn't really published that a lot. So reiterate that that's available for folks if they're interested. And that is it on my manager's report.
Great. Any questions for the town manager?
Just a question about the Flat Hill Bridge. Are there any updates for that?
So as much as I would love to give a public update on that, and I know that folks are keen to get one, unfortunately, based on the situation that we're currently in, I'm not able to provide any public updates. I cannot imagine how incredibly frustrating this is, especially for those that have to go through that detour. And I know that I'm asking the residents to trust that we're doing what we can without talking about it, but when I am able to give a public update next, I will.
Thank you. Any other questions? All right, thank you very much. Moving on to new business. So first we have authorized FY 2026-2028 agreement between the Town of Lunenburg and the Montechusett Regional Transit Authority, or MART, for Council on Aging Services. But I believe we're going to pass over this tonight because we still need a redlined version of the agreement just to make it a little clearer on what has changed. And I don't believe that you've received that.
So I did reach out to MART. So they did say that there were some changes, especially around insurance and liability. They unfortunately had multiple users working on the draft, so they don't have a good red line. So I'll have to compare between the two documents. I ran that through earlier today through software to do it, and it looked like the changes were maybe a little bit more substantive than just the insurance. So I want to take a closer look at what I think what the deviations are, flag those, see if they need to go to council. It needs to be approved before the end of September, but
Okay.
as long as we get it on a future
Right.
agenda.
I did read the whole thing, but it's kind of hard to do that without the context of what's actually changed, so. All right. Up next, ratification of the collective bargaining agreement with New England Police Benevolent Association, Local 353, for FY 26 to FY 28. So we are actually doing this for real tonight. And to the town manager, do you just want to speak to where the contract landed at all?
Sure. So we have agreed upon terms for a 3-year contract for fiscal years 26, 27, and 28. Speaking to a couple of the highlights of the changes, of course, this is a public document once it gets executed. Wage increases for each of the fiscal year is a 3% increase across each fiscal year. We also adjusted the educational incentives for they list associates, bachelors, and masters. So in that order, 8, 16, and 20 for the first 2 years of the contract, and 9, 18, and 20 for the last year of the contract.
Percents.
Percents, yes, thank you. Thank you for clarifying.
Yeah, I was gonna.
We also provided a $3,400 stipend for the accreditation manager, which is to maintain accreditation compliance with the Post Commission, a translator stipend, an hour of overtime for a scheduling supervisor, and a public information officer stipend. A lot of what we did, folks may have heard discussions of this board previously where we talked about alignment between different units, is to align some of the language of the SAP in terms of sick time and benefit time for spouses, provided parity over to the collective bargaining agreement. We changed the definition of spouse for a more expansive definition, so either married or essentially living as such. Sick leave is on an accrual. And so one of the things I do want to flag for the public here when I'm saying we're mirroring, the police union was one of the only unions that their sick time was only for themselves in their contract. So now it's been expanded right in the contract to cover children, spouse, parent, or parent of the spouse. We also made some minor changes to details and overtime, but probably one of the largest changes is changing, which this board is obviously aware of, but the public isn't necessarily aware of, is changing the way that vacations run. And so vacations are moving to an accrual system. This allows greater flexibility for folks, especially in their first year of service. And so folks will begin accruing vacation beginning the first full month after hire. The amount of vacation time that they're accruing has not changed. And then vacation time will no longer run on the fiscal year. It's carried over in a continuum and then is capped at 5 days greater than what they would accrue, but they have to burn that down. In order to make that work, we had to provide a transition year because these folks are coming into the fiscal year with their vacation time. So we essentially are buying off people that have a fourth week of vacation and then splitting the rest of the vacation extra or this year's allotment into the 3 fiscal years. This probably doesn't translate well to the listener, and it's probably more confusing than it is. But those are the major changes in the contract. In order to make this all work, we were anticipating obviously negotiations, and so we had some money set aside in the salary reserve for that. But the town has been running, we have a staffing schedule of having 4 sergeants, and we have been running with 3. And so it was discussed that in order to pay for this, we will run with 3 sergeants for the foreseeable future.
All right, thank you. All right, is there a motion?
I move to ratify the collective bargaining agreement with New England Police Benevolent Association Local 353 for fiscal years 26 through fiscal year 28.
I'll second that motion.
All right, any additional discussion before we vote on that? Okay, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed, no. The motion passes unanimously.
Thank you. Thank you for all your work on this with me.
Of course, thank you as well. Okay, moving on to old business. Discussion on warrant articles to be sponsored by the Select Board for special town meeting. So the only one that I recall us discussing and adding to the list was the postcards for the warrant. Were there any other that we discussed that were new that maybe I'm forgetting about? I think that was the only one.
The Chapter 70 funding, I don't know if that was going to be discussed or if we wanted to push that to the school committee if they wanted to do that.
So the article that comes in under is a standing article. So that would be in the motion. So the article is to amend the present fiscal year budget. And that's here as a standing. So to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate, borrow, or transfer from available funds all sums necessary to amend the amounts voted in the FY26 omnibus budget. And then whatever we would do under that would be captured in the motion. But that article to carry any action is included as a standard.
Okay, so we got that one covered for like the standard ones.
For the warrant, not for what's in the motion yet. So I did have a conversation with the superintendent. Of course, she's curious. I told her that we would have that conversation candidly first before, and I haven't had the opportunity to have that full dialogue yet with her about what the thoughts are around that. But I want to do that there first before she's hearing it in a public meeting.
Yeah, okay. I just want to make sure we go through the right avenue of how we proceed with it.
So the article that would allow it as a motion is a standard article.
Okay, gotcha. So we at least have the article, and it sounds like they're going to continue to have conversations, and we will as well. All right, any other ones that people want to add to the list here? At least for tonight. Obviously, we're going to keep having this conversation for a little bit.
Jen, can you share with us at some point just the list you ran through the last time?
Sure.
Yeah.
I'm starting to, you've seen like drop little tidbits of information in that folder. So for example, the TCP roof one, what the vote was and what the history was there. And as I come across things, I'll drop them in that folder. But yes, I'll keep the running.
Yeah, that would be helpful, thanks.
And I do want to be clear, because there was the feedback, this is just a list of things that have come in. It doesn't mean that there's anything the select board certainly hasn't voted.
No, yeah, we
the
still
warrant.
have to like vet them once they're actually drafted, and then, obviously that same process that we do every year is going to happen still. That's not really the stage that we're at yet, so, yeah, for sure. One that I do kind of want to run by people is potentially getting rid of the Personnel Committee. Based on my research, it seems as though Personnel Committees sort of were a thing of the past that aren't really that common anymore. And I haven't done enough research right now to confidently say, but I suspect that we might be in the minority of communities that still have them. Would you agree with that?
This was actually the specific assignment that I had given to the employee working group, was to research this. And-
Right.
And one of the champions of the employee working group has moved on to work for OpenGov. So I don't think that research is really happening in that space right now. But the reason why I tasked them with that is just that, is that there was actually something recently that, I don't know, maybe 6 or so months ago, went out on MMHR Group, which is the Human Resources for Municipalities listserv, and people were asking about who had recently gotten rid of their personnel boards and what it was, and I was surprised that it was more overwhelming than I expected it to be, that folks are moving away from it. You would need to have some type of system in some areas in place if you were to disband it. So
Yeah.
something ready to take its place. But I do think that personnel boards in general are from a different time.
And I think having it and not actually having anyone on it isn't really serving the town well. So I think there's two parts of that, in my opinion at least, I think we would benefit from at least considering it.
Can I provide an example?
Sure,
Specifically?
of course.
So, right now, in the absence of a personnel committee, I'm the personnel board, right? So I administer the salary administration plan. There are a lot of things like reviewing job descriptions that absolutely should, I think, probably occur just here without it being vetted by another group. But right now, if we're going to offer somebody beyond a step 4 for coming on, because there's no personnel board, that entire decision is consolidated within me as one person. I appreciate the trust that I'm not going to abuse that, but without a personnel board in those areas like that where there's something that is an exception to the rule that you want vetted, right now we don't have any kind of check on that. So I think without a personnel board, it doesn't make sense to look at.
Yeah, so there are certain functions that aren't happening now because it doesn't exist. But I also think more broadly, like systems work until they don't anymore, and I think we need to recognize that it's just not working anymore because we haven't had one for I think like 2 years now. So
I don't know what it is.
but it's just about 2 years. So I'm kind of not looking for any commitment here, but just looking for a reaction from the rest of the board on whether or not this is something that we would want to bring to town meeting.
Yeah, but,
Go ahead.
I mean, like town manager said, we need something in place.
Yeah.
Before we can, even though we don't currently have a personnel committee, we have to come up with
Right.
our Plan B, our new plan going forward.
And I think there's really a couple options, right? I think we could basically move the SAP to a select board policy and then rework it in certain ways that make sense and then just get rid of the part that establishes the committee. We could also, if we wanted to, I don't think this would be like the proper path, but if we wanted to, we could probably keep that bylaw, just get rid of the part that creates the committee and still have it be a bylaw so that things have to go to town meeting. But I think there's a lot of benefit in having a committee like the select board to approve those things as frequently as we would be able to. And also, I think there's a lot of benefit in changing the SAP more potentially than twice a year as well.
Well, that's really the consideration that you're going to want to, because you could do it either way, but that's exactly the consideration that you're going to want to think about is, do you want the weight and authority of a bylaw to amend the SAP, in which case you would want to amend the bylaw itself by removing the reference to the Personnel Committee and, where it makes sense, put in different entities in its place and stand up select board policies behind it? Or do you want to pull the bylaw out and have it live as policy? But that's a philosophical decision for
Sure.
that.
Yeah, gotcha. Any other reactions to that tonight?
I would be open. I agree with Renee. I think there's got to be some sort of path forward. My first thought, just thinking about it, was including like an HR director in those decisions. Maybe getting 3 people would be a good idea too.
And it would be appropriate conversation for the bylaw review committee that will be formed.
Which I'm on, by the way. And we are having our first meeting on Thursday. I guess it's hard to say until we like really meet to see how much we want to consider changing. They might kind of send it back to us because that is a pretty big substantial change, you know. So whether or not the committee is going to believe that that it falls within the scope of the committee, I think is yet to be seen, so.
And I can have the HR director, if the board's interested, if you'd find it informative and kind of dealing with this, pull down the information that was shared around that listserv about the data around who has left them recently, or, I mean, it's not like it's a great, like, 351 cities and towns in Massachusetts, everybody, but it's a sampling. Give you an indication of what folks are doing. And I think, if I recall, folks also said, like, why they were moving in that direction in those responses in some cases, and they also indicated what obstacles they encountered.
Yeah,
So if that's helpful.
I'd be really interested in
Okay.
reviewing that.
All right, let me pull down that data.
Okay, cool. All right, any other discussion on that or any other potential warrant articles? All right, moving on then. Recommendations to the Master Plan Steering Committee on Master Plan Update. So we have the spreadsheet and we can start going through these and compiling our feedback. So if you open it, you'll see it's named Copy of Select Board Master Plan Recommendations for Committee. You'll want to make sure that you're in the Select Board tab. There's 2 tabs. Make sure you're in the right one. So how this is formatted is that there are some high-level goals, and then each goal has a couple different actions that are listed here as recommendations from public feedback. So those are sort of more of the actual items to discuss here. There's a list of relevant committees for each of them, so we're going to focus on the ones where the select board is listed, and then I'm going to try to compile pretty much whatever discussion happens for each of them. So we can start. So the first goal, and this is like the high-level goal here, is support a range of housing options for all ages and income levels. So the first action, I guess, here is encourage new housing developments that broaden the available residential options, including apartments, townhouses, single-family, multifamily, and are planned appropriately to preserve open space, public trail access, and wildlife connectivity. So what's our feedback on that one?
Are we going by the columns that are listed here, the questions?
No, I'm just general discussion on each of these. Some of these, so if you scroll over, and I think what we were asked to do is if you look at 7, provide any additional feedback. I'm really just looking to get like, what do we think about these things? Like, you know, a little higher level here. I don't think we need to go through each and every single one of these questions. They're just looking for feedback, you know, they want to know sort of where we're at.
I think, did they want to know too about specific if there was policies? Because,
Yeah.
yeah, I
So
don't,
if there are some of them where it's easy to flag, we
Right,
can.
right,
But this
yeah.
one, you know.
Well, I think we know, right?
Right. So,
I'm looking at Glenn because he's on this. If you have any more insight?
yeah, do you?
I was going to say, it's not fair. You just appointed to me that like 2 meetings ago.
I know. That's why I prevented.
So I'll just read through my notes real quick here. It's like the scale of implementation efforts is a concern because, you know, naturally a lot of people, like, you know, myself only having lived here for 2 years, chose Lunenburg because of its rural character. But it should be consistent with the rural character of town. Government and builders will only see in that list, they will only see apartments, townhouses, and multifamily high-density housing. They, whoever they are, do not want single-family houses built. And I can't really identify who I mean when I say they, and I would just use the example that I mentioned at the last meeting of the special permit for use of townhouses, 20 townhouses up off on New West Townsend Road. I think it's tough reconciling the open space preservation and, allowing individuals to actually own their own home on a piece of property, like a single family home. So, I think what I'm saying is like those are excellent talking points, and it's sort of like advocating for fresh air and clean water, but we just have to be mindful of, what makes Lunenburg Lunenburg, and to what extent is it that we embrace those, that initiative or action or, so, that's my feedback, whatever that's worth.
Yeah, I agree. And there is a bit of a contention, I guess, when you say, one, we need more housing and we need all sorts of different types of housing. But two, we really value our open space, right? We want to preserve our open space. Like those two things are contradictory. So I'm just going through here. So like, what do we need to do to encourage new housing developments that are single family? My honest opinion is absolutely nothing. There's plenty of it in town. Duplexes seem to be going up, right? The couple of developments that have gone up in the past couple of years on Mass Ave, I believe were duplexes and already occupied. My honest opinion, and we'll get to it because it is listed a little lower, senior housing, though, I think there is a real need there, right? Because if you get to a certain age where you want to downsize, this happened to my grandmother. I feel like this is actually something that a lot of our loved ones experience at a certain point in life, where it's no longer feasible to maintain your large house and the kids are gone and maybe you have a spouse still or not, and you want to downsize, but you want to, maybe you grew up in Lunenburg and you lived here your entire life and you want to stay in the community, but you want to downsize. Good luck to you, right? Because there aren't really that many options if you want, a cute little condo that's age appropriate. So I think that is like a serious housing need in town, housing for seniors. But some of these other ones, I'm not too sure that we do really need to do much to encourage. I'm watching 100 Townsend Harbor be developed rapidly. So, it's definitely happening. But that's sort of my reaction to it.
I read this sentence a little bit differently. I read this one as with the and. So if we take out that parentheses in the middle, is the select board encouraging new housing developments that broaden residential options and are planned appropriately to preserve open space, park trail access, and wildlife connectivity, that coupling of the development with that secondary piece.
Okay, I was just speaking about housing more broadly than I guess.
Yeah. I think that might be the prompt here, that it's does the select board encourage new housing, or does the select board want to encourage new housing developments that broaden residential as well as preserve open space, public trail access, and wildlife connectivity?
Yeah, if it's possible. I don't know, how do we encourage that though, right? That's the question.
So if I had to get, is this controlled by your board's bylaws or policies? No. Do we have a bylaw policy on this already? No. If yes, how does this recommendation align with your committee's current goals and priorities? So we don't have any, not identified as a goal. Are there any aspects that need further clarification? I suppose that, how to do this without zoning, I don't know. That's the only thing. If yes, please describe, related to your board committee, what's the impact of implementing this recommendation and their potential unintended consequence? I just don't think it's something you probably have control over. And I think if you go through in that way to these other ones, my guess is that you're going to find similarity there, that there's some of these things you don't have control over once you kind of tease them out like that. But comparatively, develop a 5-year strategic school forecasting plan of funding designated, like, that's where you have made statements, right?
Right,
About
and that one,
in that space.
But we also sort of need to get through this like tri-board process too to really understand where that's gonna happen.
Continue to be a green community, that's something that's absolutely in the select board's wheelhouse. So I think that that's what you're supposed to do, is take each one and kind of go across like that.
Yeah, we can do that. So, okay, so that was the first one. The second one, allow people to purchase land and have a temporary dwelling unit on site while building their home. So I wonder how this fits into the new ADU.
Yeah, it doesn't have anything to do with the select board.
No.
That's,
Right.
yeah, I think it's not under your jurisdiction. Unless you wanted to make a policy statement around encouraging one way or another these things. I guess that's the one thing. If it's not, this is an opportunity to take a policy position if one has not been taken, or to not take a policy position,
Right.
either way.
Fair. But I also wonder how that fits into like the state's new laws too.
Temporary dwelling
Right.
unit, so they're talking, I'm assuming they're talking trailers.
Okay.
And so, that's something that maybe the board does want to take a position on. Do you want temporary dwelling units? Or maybe a question, what does this mean? Does this mean trailers? How long? What's temporary?
Right.
Yeah, it is definitely like a residential trailer, like a camper or something while they build whatever structure they're building, the house. And I'm assuming that is not allowed now? I don't even know. It does sound
I
like a
can't
planning-
imagine that it is.
Sounds like a planning, building.
Yeah.
Board of Health.
Yeah.
It's planning board, yeah.
Other than a policy position around it, I don't, a lot of these things, it's hard to weigh in on this, not having created it.
Yeah, and I would also I want to know the context of this one, right? Like, how did this get included in the draft master plan here? Why was this seen as being important for Lunenburg specifically? So, I don't know, I guess I'd be curious on what the context for this one is.
These are due at the end of the month?
Yes.
I don't know, I guess my comment here is I don't know how the select board or any board can meaningfully go through this without having that information at a meeting, and so maybe we need to invite somebody
Yeah.
to walk us through this.
Do we want to ask someone to present on this? Will that help us
I
through
don't know,
this process?
some of them I think are probably a little bit quicker to go through, but, and I don't think we'd have, I guess, are we open to that whole concept? And that could be part of the focus of the master plan, and we could eventually be like, no, I don't know that we'd have to make that decision about it now, but if we're
No, of
willing
course
to
not.
if we're open to it, which I can't imagine there's a huge, someone in public must have suggested this, and it just made it through the filter.
Right.
And, I'm not convinced there's a big need for, people must be asking, I guess, that have land and building a house, if they can put a camping trailer there while they build the house. I mean,
Yeah, it may have just happened once and was included because that
Yeah.
person decided to submit that feedback. So, yeah, I don't know. I don't feel too strongly on this. I don't see it as being a huge issue either.
Yeah.
But I'm curious to know sort of like the backstory on that one. Okay, so we can keep going through here. Someone accidentally copied one of the cells here and replaced the actual thing with this. But I have a printout, so I can easily find it. Let me go to the first page here. So the next one is encourage the development of an assisted living complex in an area that reduces impact to surrounded areas. So this one I would at least want to explore, and that's sort of like, I think senior housing is a need in town, and this isn't, something that we really have much of.
yeah, I don't know that this one is senior housing.
No, it's not.
Yeah.
But I'd see it as falling under the umbrella. which is why, you know, I would be interested in exploring it. It is very different. You're right. It's an assisted living.
I see that as like a EDC/planning board, you know, making zoning more attractive to a business to come in.
Yeah.
Like, unless they're proposing that the town runs an assisted living, which clearly is not.
No.
So, I mean, I don't know that would, you know, again, fall under the select board.
The word encourage, to me, means TIF, or so tax increment financing, or some kind of incentive by which they would be able to develop in a way that otherwise they normally wouldn't.
Right.
So either we're making something really favorable within the zoning, or we're giving some kind of tax benefit specifically, or some other type of benefit to promote assisted living complexes to come. Again, I just...
Over any other development.
Over a bowling alley,
Yeah.
or I don't know where some of these things, it's different than what I'm used to seeing in a master plan.
Okay.
It's very specific in some interesting areas.
Yeah, I can understand that.
In contrast to the next one, which is like, this is standard, establish an affordable housing trust. You see that as a proposal.
Yeah.
Right? That's like pretty cookie, that is core government functionality, right? So that's some of this that I struggle with, is that some of these things feel very much like this is government space, and some of these feel very much like this is private space.
Right.
That should be left to private entities, and that the government doesn't kind of belong in some of these spaces.
Well, I do think, like, the process that happened probably was people coming together and deciding, like, what do we believe our
Right.
community needs? And now it's trying to translate the results of that process into, like, how does the government achieve that? And a lot of it, you know, we can't really just, you know, decide that we want an assisted living complex in town and make it happen, you know?
And that's where, you know, you'd hope that the vendor who has been hired really helps assist the community in saying, is that really
Yeah.
a function of government, or is it
Well,
not? And push back a little bit in that
I
area.
am just going to read that these are recommendations from public feedback that was narrowed down and tailored by them collaboratively, so, but that's okay.
So I mean, it is important to recognize how important a document like this is for a town.
Yeah.
And, you know, we'd be remiss if we didn't, you know, indicate that the process, you know, specifically because we've been down a land use director.
That did not affect this process.
It didn't affect, well, it would
Not
certainly
in
have
the
helped.
way-
It would have helped the committee if they had the
That's right.
resources.
For sure, yeah.
So this, up until recently, it's been a very ineffective, inefficient, in my opinion, process. Recently, you know, they're running on, they're cooking with gas. I mean, they're organized, and, you know, with an example of the document in front of us, they pulled that together real quick. And the talking points they have, you know, are, you know, pretty impressive of the information points that they have. But I mean, this process has been going on. You know, I actually went to, I believe, it was certainly the first one that was at Coffee Roasters. I believe it was the very first public meeting that they had. And there was one subsequent to that. And it really, I mean, I wasn't impressed with that, you know, that event. But now going back to the meetings and stuff with all the information, it's really impressive. So the presentation is really impressive of all the information they got in the community outreach, but I'm not convinced that the community outreach was real in-depth and meaningful. A lot of these are, you know, emotional, like, again, you know, clean water, clean air, you know, keeping seniors in their home or having senior housing. You know, those are very emotional and very easy to get behind and push. But the reality of, you know, implementation, specifically using the assisted living, is just, you know, a no-go. And not to jump ahead, but there was even a talk of, you know, purchasing the villages buildings.
Right.
And, you know, and a comment was like, oh, the town could rent out, you know, the spaces. And I'm like, you know, private sector can't rent them out. I mean, God help you. government's not going to do it, you know? I think what the town manager was alluding to, I'm not convinced that the guidance that they had was the best, and I'll just stop.
In this, I think I've said it publicly in some of their meetings, the sampling sizes are small. But yet, here we are, right, here we are. So we got to finish this thing, but I don't know if it helps to have somebody kind of, for the non-obvious ones, walk us through, or just to do this in a workshop. I think it's going to take a while.
Yeah, I think it's worthwhile to keep going here, and just to sort of see what else is in here, and then I agree. I think we need to kind of have that meeting at some point. So we covered the establishment of Affordable Housing Trust. Let's see, advertise federal and state first-time home buyer programs. So I'll just run through them all, and then if anyone wants to stop and discuss any of these, we can. And then the next high-level goal here is encourage small business development within existing commercial areas. And we have the sub-action as increase use of town center, new area TCP for events/programming. I'll just call this one out. I think we are doing this already. So I remember, this process began like 2 years ago, and I remember there was a lot of talk in the community that we needed more community events, and the community responded to that by planning more. And we've had a lot of events that use like TCP, and I think they've gone really well, like the vendor fair, having the farmers market there. We had like probably, I don't know, but probably up to 1,000 people attend some of those events throughout the entire day, and it's gone really well.
Yeah, I mean, I think this one, yes, this is controlled by your policy.
Yeah, and it's been happening. Okay. Build upon efforts to improve natural open spaces and recreational opportunities. So assess and provide parking and improve pedestrian access to town beach, including ADA accessibility. So this is an interesting one. I do think there is a bit of a parking issue there, but the solution, I don't really know, because there really isn't any additional space there, unless you want to park somewhere else. Even then, I don't know where or like how you would get to the town beach, and that's certainly not addressing the ADA accessibility. So I recognize that.
So in something like this, when a community flags something like this, and it is constrained by abutters, that typically means that you're making an indication that, yes, you're interested in acquiring property. How that looks, that can be fleshed out during the implementation, but it's flagging that you're interested in pursuing the acquisition of property.
Right, for sure.
What that would really look like.
Okay. Provide public access to Lake Shirley. We did enter into an agreement with Shady Point, so we have done that. Improve parking and access to all trails in town. This is one of the ones that I want more context on, because I go to the trails a lot. I've never really seen that there is a parking issue there. I've never had an issue parking at any of the trails.
And I know they've got some grants for, parking there, so conservation is actively working on that. Like,
At least for one of them.
Calgary.
Table Rock.
Yeah.
I think there's a second one too, but.
Okay. Okay, support community gathering spaces, improve advertising events across town. I think we do a really good job advertising for events. They're certainly well attended. Optimize use of municipal buildings and properties, inventory and create a long-term plan for all town-owned land and buildings. So this is definitely one that falls under us, in addition to Municipal Building Design Committee. I think the priority here, at least in my opinion, is the buildings. We definitely need that. But we do also have a lot of properties that are under the care and custody of the Select Board. Whether or not we need a defined plan for all of them, I don't think so. Like, I do think it's useful to have some in reserve to address future needs that you can't really envision now.
But it's also to revisit those past assumptions or past conditions and say, does this still apply? This decision was made. Does this still hold true?
We did do that 2 years ago. Nothing came out of it.
Right.
So we went through all the properties. There were site visits. We looked at all of them, and nothing happened. Yeah. So I think just doing those periodic reviews, for me, that's sort of what I read. Like, okay, maybe we should revisit that, next year. Okay, so we talked about this one already. Improve school facilities, funding, and opportunities. Develop a 5-year strategic school forecasting plan of funding designed for renewal every 5 years to ensure long-term educational equity, fiscal responsibility, and adaptability. So I think this will probably fall into place with the tri-board process. So we'll see where we get, and then a 5-year strategic forecast hopefully can be created. Foster safe and resilient town infrastructure. Ensure town has an updated hazard mitigation plan and create a roadmap to reduce the impacts of natural hazards and climate change within Lunenburg. So that's an interesting one. I don't know that we do have a hazard mitigation plan.
We do.
we?
It is expired, I believe.
Okay.
The last one is expired.
And then we have one category here that just says additional recommendations. So continue to be a green community in good standing, absolutely. Review all bylaws and update as necessary, and continue on a 5-year review basis. So that is the periodic review schedule that we have defined in our charter, and we are conducting that this year. Assess viability of public purchase of town center property. We did talk about that one already. And then evaluate all town administrative functions, building permits, etc., to be able to be accessed through online actions. Consider AI impact to town administrative functions / OpenGov. That's in progress. We're moving a lot to OpenGov already. And that's it. That is the draft, all the recommendations here. All right, any discussion on any of these? And do we want to send the invite to discuss this and try to get some context on some of them?
Which ones would, if you're going to invite someone in to give context, I would identify those and give them in advance, but yeah, it's not entirely clear to me what the goal of this worksheet is. I mean, to say whether there's a bylaw, if it's under our control, because none of those columns actually say whether we agree or support. I don't.
Yeah, well, that's why I was just trying to gather feedback and reactions on all of these items. And I think, part of that is, I know that's only one column, but I think that's really what they're looking for, right? They want to know what volunteers in town think about this, because it can help guide them with the rest of the process here. But we did, we had some discussion here, so we'll compile it, we'll see where we're at, and then we can continue discussing this.
If folks wanted to submit things to me, and then I could kind of compile and see where there's consensus around it. Alternatively, I could take a stab at filling this out of what I think that the answers are, and identify, board should make policy, or could take policy position around this, but otherwise it's not under your purview. Is that helpful to kind of tee that up or do you want to kind of look at them and think about them and then submit them and I can compile?
So yes, I do think we can do that. I think it's good to have just, I keep saying this, but our general thoughts on some of these, and also so does it fall under our purview, right? What currently exists in policies and bylaws, and what potential action could be done to achieve some of these. We need to do both of those things. So if you want to start compiling some of that, yeah, I think that could probably help. All right, any other discussion on this tonight? All right. Discussion on tri-board meeting of the Select Board, Finance Committee, and School Committee. Any discussion on the tri-board meetings tonight?
September 30th is the next one.
Yes. What are we discussing that night? I don't remember.
Oh, that's going to be a big one. That is public
is it public
safety
safety? Okay.
and DPW.
Yep.
So, yes, public safety and DPW. So, and facilities, I believe, is on that night as well, so.
We'll see if we make it by 10 p.m.
Yeah,
We cut
that's
it
gonna
real
be a
close last week.
tall order.
As in,
Yeah.
yeah.
It's a lot of spending that night.
I think I would add from the last meeting, I felt like the healthcare potential changes does fall more onto the select board and negotiating and working out with the PEC what to look at. So I look forward to kind of planning ahead as we try to work with the PEC to try to make adjustments to the healthcare that are beneficial to both parties.
Yeah, I agree with that.
That was pretty surprising how quickly the health insurance really gets exponential pretty fast.
Yeah, I know. I was shocked.
For those that didn't watch, in 3 years right now, if we're projecting to be on trend, it's $1 million increase in health insurance alone.
Yeah.
So it's a huge part of our budget.
And by the way, thank you for all the work that you did
Thanks, yeah.
into that presentation, because I think it's...
I learned a lot.
Yeah, it's the most information that we've seen on it. You know, we had a breakdown of how many people were enrolled in each plan, so it was very thorough, so thank you.
We have had some requests, I guess, of additional topics to be covered at the tri-board. I guess ultimately the tri-board chairs are going to have to figure out. But Water District, in as much as they are potentially having an increase that would, to their ratepayers, that would coincide with potential increases to taxation at the same time. And I think that there was one more kind of, the Board of Trust Commissioners has asked to come before the tri-board as well. So
For what?
to speak about the work that they're working on. So
And how does it relate to the operational budget for next year? If it does.
I don't know that it does.
Okay.
But nonetheless,
Yeah.
so we
And
have
same-
those.
and same with the Water District,
Same with the
too.
Water District, right. So we have, just to kind of flag that there are some folks or groups that people would like us to consider in part of that tri-board, but that'll have to
Gotcha.
be worked out.
Yep, okay, cool. All right, any other discussion on the tri-board meetings? All right, discussion on acceptance of sick leave bank policy. So there's an updated policy here, or draft of the policy. There's the red lines. A lot of changes were made, but I don't think there was really much of substance that I at least noticed.
Yeah, if you look at the red line, almost everything is red. So, and that's even just
Clean one is easier.
moving, clean
Yeah,
one's much easier. So
I did just do that.
the clean one, I can kind of point out some of the major changes. Added the definition of day, added the definition of sick leave bank. Provided some clarity around some things, but not substantive changes under program eligibility, but just provided some clarity around that. Provided some clarity around the process by which the non-union employees would be apprised of, that they could apply to be on the sick leave bank committee. Let's see. They added the annual accounting to not only go to the select board, but also to go to the program members. Let's see. Added clarity around what happens if members decide to withdraw from the program, so they can withdraw, but any time that they had contributed to the bank is irrevocable, and once they withdraw, they are not eligible to reapply.
Ever.
Ever. Let's see. Added that the grievance, if somebody is not grieved, that's the wrong word, but if somebody is dissatisfied with the decision of the committee, that they can appeal to the select board, who would hear the matter in executive session, and that would be the final decision, no further appellate or grievance procedure beyond that. And then also added some language, if you look at number 7 under benefits and benefit eligibility, There was some questions around, what if somebody does not need 2 weeks of consecutive time, but they have a situation that requires kind of continued check-ins? And so I just called out specifically an example of it. So let me just read this whole section. No less than 2 weeks of work time may be requested by an applicant from the bank, and no more than 30 days may be granted from the bank to any one applicant at a time. In most instances, so I added the in most instances, the time off must be used in consecutive days and weeks. Exceptions may be granted in certain circumstances, such as for employees who take repeated blocks of 2 to 3 days off at a time to undergo treatment such as chemotherapy. Members who request but do not use more than 2 work weeks of time may return unused time to the bank.
I had a couple questions on that one.
Sure.
So one, how do you define a work week?
So the work week is whatever their normal, whether,
normal?
yeah, whether
Okay.
it's 40 or 2 shifts or.
Or 4 days or 5 days?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
because we're doing it based on individuals' days, so
Yeah.
it's individuals' work week. The other thing is, I would be in favor of, if you request 2 weeks, but, so 10 days, but you only use 8, it says may return unused time, I would say must return unused time. I would be in favor of
Okay.
recalling any unused time, you know.
So the way I have it drafted right now is that you'd only return time over 2 weeks. So if you requested more than 2, but you'd have to use the bank time for 2 weeks, because what I'm trying to avoid is that we don't want people to go to the bank for 2 days, 4 days. We want you to go for that longer 2
Yeah.
work weeks.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to allow it to be given back, but kind of mandate that the floor is still 2 weeks. So that's what I was trying to do with there, that said members who request but do not use more than 2. But I see that that doesn't really help us, right?
It was the may
Yeah.
return unused
Must.
time was the part that didn't feel right to me. So if they request, a month, but they recover quicker and they're cleared to return to work,
Right, then they
They could
must
keep-
return.
the unused time should get returned.
What about for the people who request 3 weeks and only use 3 days? Should they still return it all? I mean, because you're taking it from the bank, it doesn't really prevent the issue that I was trying to solve.
Yeah, I don't know how you get out of that.
Yeah, I don't-
I don't know how to work around that.
Okay, so members who request but do not use time shall return unused time to the bank. Okay. Okay,
Yeah, I don't see why they wouldn't return the days.
right, it doesn't help.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you're taking it from the bank, you need to use it, right? So, are you still having any ongoing conversations about this, or is this
No.
really on our plate now?
It is on your plate,
Okay.
so.
Any other questions?
There's one edit, Jen, on, under sick leave bank committee, number 3.
Oh, yeah, I caught that one too.
The town manager,
That
that applications. I think it's the town manager will accept applications, maybe? It's talking about.
Oh, we'll announce that applications will announce.
Okay.
By April 25th of each
We'll announce
year.
that
Okay.
they're available, yeah. Okay, TM will announce. Thank you.
Yeah, I forgot to mention that. I saw that. All right, anything else for tonight?
I know folks haven't seen this in a while, and it's,
Yeah,
I
we
mean,
need,
if you need to read it through again.
I
yeah,
think the questions I had before that I sent you earlier were all addressed.
okay. So do members want some more time to review this, and then we can pick it up again and then potentially approve it?
I'm good with it.
Yeah,
I'm good.
Glenn?
Yeah, that's fine.
All right, great, as am I.
With the changes we
With
discussed.
the changes
yes.
discussed. Now,
Yep.
here's another one, so when do we want to start this? So, should have started July 1st, but we
Right.
made an intentional decision to not. Do we want a bright line that it's going to start January 1st, or do you just want me to start implementing October 1st?
Yeah. Well, what do you think would work better? for
Really
actually
doesn't.
implementing it? Does it really matter?
No, the first year is just going to be funky anyways because
Yeah.
of the I mean, the easiest thing is that we'd start it next fiscal.
Well, yeah, I know.
Yeah.
That would be the absolute easiest thing. So if not that, because that's a really long time to wait.
Yeah.
It doesn't really matter.
Okay, well,
Yeah,
what do members
October-
think?
November 1st?
So no impact on eligibility, making it easier, harder, depending on the start, when we start this?
What do you mean?
Yeah, I don't.
The enrollment, people who are eligible in the enrollment period.
So.
We started October 1st.
Yeah, we'll just
Yeah,
have a funky open enrollment
Yeah.
period,
Right.
that it'll be open for the
However
same,
long.
what was it, 15 days, June 1st? We'll have the first, yeah, I guess if we wanted to be super specific in the motion, that the first open enrollment will
Mm-hmm.
run from November 1st to November 15th for this initial,
Sure.
and then after that, we'll run according to the policy.
Okay.
Something like that.
How do members feel about that? Do we want to change the start date or the open enrollment at all?
If you open it in November, does that mean they're going to be giving up a day, say in November and then in July?
They would,
Yeah,
yep, yep. So they'd give up one this fiscal, one next fiscal,
Right.
or two. Right. So the two that they would have given up had we started it on July 1st.
Right.
For the two that we would, they'd be giving up the ones in November that they would have given on July 1st, had we started this for July 1st, and then the next July 1st is for the other two for the second fiscal year.
Right.
I think we may need to form the committee, sick leave bank committee, before we start this.
Oh, yeah.
We should have that in
we have
place before someone
implementation
submits a request.
Okay,
Do we,
so you can approve the policy.
yeah,
Policy, yeah.
But
Right.
not have an implementation date until we,
until the formation of
the committee, and that documents are prepared for the enrollment.
Okay,
And
so
then
want to
we're-
hold off on the open enrollment?
We're going to
until
hold
we
off on
form-
open enrollment, approve the policy, let's stand up the committee. Okay.
And then
And not
we'll
set a
announce
date.
the open enrollment.
Yeah, exactly.
And
I wonder-
Date
Yeah.
too.
I
We'll do
wonder
all
if-
that after,
Yeah.
I wonder if the donation of the day should be half of what an annual one would be, because we're already looking at November.
Well, I think it's beneficial to do the full day because it still gets the bank going, right?
Right, right. It doesn't make it fair for people who are, if you half it, then the next round of people that come in, they have
Yeah.
to give two, and everybody on the initial only had to give one. So,
I'm just thinking for the fiscal year, like if they're giving 2 in June or July versus
they can
November.
always enroll during open enrollment, real open enrollment, next, if they don't want to join now.
Okay.
That's true.
But once you join,
Once you join,
and
you're in.
leave, you
Right.
can't rejoin.
Right.
But if they were worried about that giving up, like,
Yeah, the 2
the two, they can
less
join
than a
during
year.
open enrollment.
Yeah. Okay, thank you.
Okay, so it sounds like we should,
Question.
oh, yes.
So is this basically designed to get someone who may go to like long-term disability? Like, is this like
A bridge.
a bridge? So my question is there a max? Is there a cutoff?
There's not a cutoff, no. So it's 30-day increments at a time, but if you had certain employee, you could, if ultimate cutoff would be either committee stops granting sick leave bank time, or the bank is depleted. But the committee would have the discretion to continue that. I mean, you are contemplating that this is not going to be used in a typical year. This is for outlier events that typically are more serious and long-term.
Yeah, I've seen sick banks not support a request because it was a long-term disability. That definitely could happen.
Okay, so we can vote on approving the policy tonight. We probably shouldn't set an effective date or
Right.
an open enrollment until we get the committee going.
Right, just adopt it but not enact it.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, so is there any other discussion or is there a motion then?
So the motion is to
Approve.
adopt
Sure.
the sick leave bank policy with the changes discussed tonight, to be implemented at a later date once the sick leave bank committee is in place.
Sure.
Second.
All right, any additional discussion? Those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed, no. Motion passed unanimously. All right, up next, discussion on acceptance of gift policy. So we left this off pretty much being okay with where were we at. We just never voted on it. So we can discuss it still if we'd like. Nothing has changed here.
I have to apologize. I fully thought that we had adopted this, and I went back to give it to somebody, and I said, it doesn't have the adopted date on it. And
Right.
somehow,
I thought we did too. I thought we voted on it. We didn't. So is there any discussion on this? Or can we just adopt it?
No changes since the last time.
No.
None.
No.
nope.
I'm good.
Okay. Is there a motion?
I'll make a motion that we adopt the Section 3.11 gift policy, adopted on September 2nd, 2025.
Second.
Any additional discussion? Those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed, no. Motion passes unanimously, and the policy is actually adopted this time. Okay. Minutes, warrants, and action items. So review and approve minutes of tri-board meeting for July 8th, 2025. So I guess we can start there. Any discussion on that? Any changes? Okay. Hearing none, we can go on. And then just approve them all together. And then Select Board regular session meetings, we have September 3rd, 2024, October 8th, 2024, July 1st, 2025, July 15th, 2025, and August 5th, 2025.
In August 5th, it's just like a typo, the correction after adjourn. It says motion to adjourn meeting, not close public hearing. I think it has it swapped.
What page, Glenn?
It is the August 5th.
Yep. Oh, motion to adjourn.
Yeah, it says motion to adjourn.
Oh, okay.
Oh, yep.
Oh, yeah.
It just looks like it's a cut and paste from above.
All right. Okay.
All right, any other changes? All right, is there a motion to approve all of these sets of minutes?
Do I have to read all the dates? Okay. I move to approve the, what are there, 6 sets of minutes?
Yeah, it's printed on the agenda.
As printed on tonight's agenda.
Second.
Any additional discussion? Those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed, no. Motion passes unanimously. All right, warrants. Do we have any warrants tonight?
We do not.
We do not. Action items. Any action items? All right, hearing none. Committee reports.
Agricultural Commission's Farmers Market, it's the 12th. That'll be the last one for the season, I believe. The fair is the 27th. They're both at TCP, the fair as well as the Farmers Market. Library trustees are coming up and meeting in September. Open Space is meeting tomorrow night. Planning Board is still operating without the land use director, but I do see it is, as mentioned earlier tonight, being advertised. Matthew Brenner, the chair, was assigned to the Municipal Building Design Committee as their representative. The Master Plan Steering Committee, of course, is waiting for our, or everybody's feedback, commissions, boards. The MMPO did a presentation, I went to a meeting last week, a virtual meeting, and they did a presentation on the drafts safety action plan. It was voted to forward that plan to the public comment phase. And as you described before, the people who, 2-tier above me, weren't there, so I was actually voting. I have no idea
Oh, wow.
what was going on, but that's what we voted for.
That doesn't happen often.
Yeah.
You're the
Yeah, yeah,
alternate,
I think you had
too.
said, "Don't worry about it."
I know. That's funny. Of course, happened to you.
So there were a couple of capital projects on there listed for Lunenburg on Leominster Road and Electric Ave. that we'll have to forward to, I guess, the DPW director, but that's it.
Cool.
The school committee meeting is tomorrow at 7 p.m. here, and the Board of Assessors is 6:30 tomorrow, and they are still looking for one member. That's all I have.
I don't have any.
Okay, so for the Council on Aging, this morning I attended an event to induct a resident into the Century Club, which is the club in town for residents over 100 years old. I believe there's 5 or 6 members now. So Frances Therian turned 100 years old on August 29th. She has been a lifelong member of the Girl Scouts of America, and scores of Lunenburg girls remember her as their Girl Scout leader. She was a member of the United Parish for 70 years and a member of the Lunenburg Women's Club for 60 years. She has been part of the fabric of our community, and it was a truly wonderful event. I really love doing these things. It's so great to meet the residents who are being honored, and it was great meeting Fran. I don't know if she watches our meetings at all, but if she does, I'd like to congratulate her again on her 100th birthday and on joining the Century Club. The Capital Planning Committee is having our first meeting tomorrow, as the town manager announced earlier, and the Bylaw Review Committee is holding its first meeting as well on Thursday. All right, upcoming meetings, we are going to be meeting September 9th. I will not be here, and then our next meeting after that is September 23rd, and then September 30th is a tri-board meeting. Public comment, is there any public comment from the public? Mr. Bowen.
Mr. Nizzolo, how are you?
I'm well. How are you? Name and address.
Yeah, pretty good. I just lost an internet connection, then it showed up. It was very weird. So I just wanted to touch base on a couple of things, if you don't mind.
Mr. Bowen, name and address for the record.
Oh, yes. I'm sorry. Forgive me. John Bowen, 162 Highland Street. So you just lost a finance director, which is our town accountant. So now my question is how are these books going to work? It's amazing that there are financial issues here in town, and we need to know as citizens, where is the legal and financial accountability? Mr. Scullambrini and myself individually, and I won't speak on behalf of my board, which I am elected to because that wouldn't be appropriate at this time, are wondering where the forensic accounting is with regard to the financial issues in town. The budget task force that Renee Emke was on as well was in agreement to that, and that hasn't been looked at by your board. We'd like it to be able to be looked at. Let's get into the understanding of policy and finance here in town, because I don't think that it's very well organized. In that respect, I'd also like to ask for a financial evaluation as a suggested warrant article. That would be requesting that a financial forensic accountant come in as a warrant article, and we allot for that cost and put it before the people to whether or not they think that that is warranted. The other issue that I wanted to talk about was the Personnel Committee. I'd like to begin by explaining the history of that. That was actually as a result of the Civil Service Law in 1884, okay? And for us to be able to take away a Personnel Committee and give power to the executive would be an anathema to the actual organization of that particular structure, and I'm totally against that. You can do your historical research on that before making your decision with regard to removing that committee. That committee prevents political influence over the hiring process. As far as you spoke about advertising different things in town, what about a banner on Electric Ave and one on Whalum, and one on Mass Ave that says, vote today on a voting day? What about advertising for that? We have 13,000 residents, but 1,400 people showing up. And the last issue is the temporary housing issue with trailers. They're not talking about camping trailers, but maybe a double wide for a family to be able to live in a space to build a home on maybe a piece of land that does not have a home on it, or somebody rebuilding a home. The limitation should be part of a full construction plan with regard to that, and that should obviously be under the planning board. However, it should include in that particular kind of policy, it should include the resale or removal of the temporary structure over a period of time. And those are just the issues with regard to your meeting that you had this evening. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Mr. Bowen. And I'm seeing no other public tonight, either in person or on Zoom. Any public comments from the town manager?
No.
Any public comments from the board?
No.
No.
All right, is there a motion to adjourn?
I'll make a motion to adjourn at 9:02 PM.
Second.
Any additional discussion? Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, no. Motion passes unanimously, and the select board is adjourned. Have a good night, everyone.
Adult Activity Center for outdoor, do they mean expanding for the seniors, or do they mean